Ladies and gentlemen, we are not but a couple of weeks away from the box office bomb. I'm sorry, maybe I got ahead of myself there for a second. The next release in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Okay, what would that be? The 35th, 36th installment? It really doesn't much matter, man, because the number in which it has come out in chronological order is probably going to be higher than the number of millions of dollars it's going to make in its opening weekend. We've already seen the projections. They are atrocious, man. It's going to be the worst. Don't even have to adjust for inflation or anything like that. It's going to be even worse than the Incredible Hulk that came out in 2008. Can you even believe it? Can you fathom that? This is how badly they have bungled the biggest franchise of all time. Because why? Well, they thought that they needed to broaden their female demographic. So what did they end up doing? Instead of catering to the ticket-paying public, because, okay, if you want to cater to the women and you're putting out movies, who's going to end up paying for the tickets to go to those movies? All right, the guys that want to go on dates. So instead of having something that everybody likes, because, okay, what were the films in phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe? What are the ones that made the most money? Well, Doctor Strange. Why is that? Sam Raimi? No. Benedict Cumberbatch. Thor, Love and Thunder. Why did that make so much money? Chris Hemsworth without wearing a shirt. What were the demographic splits on that? It was about 60-40 men to women. Yeah, exactly. And even still, back when those were billion-dollar surefire hits back in stage 3, you had an even higher skew of men paying for box office tickets. Because why? Superheroes, comics, basically the domain of men. And the women who like that stuff, like it for what it is. They don't need to see themselves represented on screen. This is another stupid fallacy that idiots play who are just creatively bankrupt in order to try to force you into the theater. Oh, if you don't watch Black Panther, you're a racist. Oh, if you don't like Captain Marvel, you're a misogynist. Well, there's going to be a fuck ton of misogynists that are going to be out there in hell. There's one black chick that's in there as well. So they're going to be racist misogynists that are going to be out there on the strip because no one is seeing this abomination. And it's kind of sad too, even if you have, like a little bit of a weak stomach and you can't be in a theater for these laborious run times that these things normally have. Like, what was, Wakanda Forever? Remember, that came out about a year ago at this point in time. Nobody fucking talks about that film. That thing was just a drop in the bucket and it fucking failed. It had 0 shelf life and it would have been talked about longer for being just what the fuck was that? Yo, man, they completely and totally ruined Namor. But not long after that, Ant-Man came out and everybody was like, wow, that thing sucked a metric shit ton of ass. And even if you just, shrunk it down even further, you could fit more distilled ass cancer into that straw. Holy, that was terrible. But no, back to the Marvels for a second. Well, we don't know anything for certain. All we have is projections when it comes to what it ultimately is going to make on the opening weekend. It's overall domestic and, you can speculate on the international box office, what it's going to end up pulling at the end of the day. But what about the film itself? What do we know when it comes to metrics? Well, on top of it being a surefire bomb, it's also going to be the shortest film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Really, this one is a throwback, okay? Making as much money as something from stage 1 did without adjusting for inflation. And then also clocking in at a runtime somewhat contemporaneous to those original films. Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk, Thor, Captain America, The First Avenger. And there's been multiple screeners that have been going around, okay? A bunch of different test footage that people have seen in the theaters, and none of them are terribly reviewed well, which, yeah, of course, we kind of know that. But there's another screener that's out there that has been reported multiple times over. That's even shorter than this. Excitement. Sorry, what? Who's excited for this? For Marvel Studios' Captain Marvel sequel, The Marvels, is oddly muted, and there are already rumblings that it could underwhelm at the box office. Yeah, we know. Is superhero fatigue to blame, or has the MCU delivered one too many misfires lately? It's definitely the latter, for as much as mainstream outlets want to go ahead and put it on the former. It's hard to say. No, it's very easy to say. If the shit was good, people would continue to go to the theater. But guess what? It's not. Much has been said about the Marvel's surprisingly short runtime, and we now know its final length courtesy of a leaker with a history of sharing accurate intel. It will indeed be Marvel Studios' shortest movie at 1 hour 44 minutes, with the credits rolling at about the 1 hour 33-minute mark. So you got the credits, and then you got the mid-credit roll scene, and then you got the after-credit scene. So the actual film itself, you have 93 minutes. 93 minutes. Now, normally for an action film, that's not that bad. But as everybody's come to know about Marvel films, like, these things clock in at over 215, 220. You got an Avengers film, 230. So to chop 45 minutes to an hour off of your regular runtime, that says something. And given the fact that this thing has been reshot not once, not twice, 3, maybe 4 different times, holy man, how bad is this thing being? Way too many cooks in the kitchen on this one, that's for certain. And yeah, like I said about the other screeners that are out there as well, a lot of people have reported on it, but there's one cut that's out there that the film, in and of itself, before credits roll and all that stuff, is 88 minutes. So there's even 5 minutes cut out of this incredibly short runtime to begin with. The studio has no faith in this film at all whatsoever. Everybody's been mocking it from the moment that it's been released, and then after it got pushed back once, and then twice, then 3 times, then 4th, and then the 5th time. This is the 5th release date, and they're just going, oh fuck, we can't delay it any further. We finally got to go ahead and put this hunk of shit out there. So they've seen the projections. I'm sure their internal poll numbers probably aren't any better. They're probably a hell of a lot worse. So in order to further mitigate the disaster, well, they put a giant review embargo, and this is, it always spells disaster, okay? Even as a, well, kind of a reformed video game player, I haven't played games like that, like outside of playing Final Fantasy VII Remake in 2020, the last game that I sat down and played was Mass Effect Andromeda, and that just completely cured me of ever wanting to play another video game ever. You would always look forward to the reviews for the games that you're anticipating, and then when they started to creep up, and you would have these big reviews, and then you'd have one drop for a title that you're looking forward to, and it would be hit with a 7, where in the video game industry that is basically, oh, that thing's absolute trash, but that's about as low as they would go. And if the game ended up dropping, release dates used to be Tuesday back when I gave a shit about this stuff, but now they're shifting to Friday or something like that from things that I'm hearing. But yeah, if they dropped, okay, like if you'd have a review drop back in the day on like the Friday, the weekend before, that was cause for concern. But this right here with the Marvels, this would be like if a game that you were looking forward to came out on a Tuesday. Actually, no, it's a 1-to-1 comparison. The time that the professional outlets that social media posts could come up would be on the Monday. That's what we're dealing with right here. This is absolutely wild. Another unprecedented move brought to you by the Marvels. Marvel's reviews being held back until the day before release inevitably launches the latest in the never-ending line of conspiracies. This thing is going to die a loud death. I was going to say it was going to go away quietly into the night because nobody's going to care, but the only people who are going to show up to the theaters probably are the people looking to review this shit. I just want to look at the numbers at the end of the day and just go, wow, you know, I used to care about this stuff. And then Iron Man 3 came out, and then that's when I just hopped off the bandwagon. That thing was an abortion. But there's other people that also checked out after Endgame. A lot of people hopped off at that station right there. But then there was a bunch of different films along stage 4 where people were like, yeah, that's a bridge too far. You know, Thor Love and Thunder was a lot of, you know, people's breaking point. But then just with the deluge or the sewer pipe full of content that was being plopped out onto Disney Plus, a lot of people were just going, it's too much. I can't keep up on all of this shit. It was enough to just have to go to the theater every quarter in order to keep up on the ever-evolving story over the course of 10 years, but you could basically do that, make it into a date night or, you know, just something, an opportunity to go outside. But now, it's done. It's done. It's dusted, man. Everybody is completely out of it at this point in time. But there was probably something that Disney, which is obviously the parent company of Marvel, okay? I don't think I'm blowing anybody's mind with that revelation. But Disney learned the last time that they had a very protracted review period for an upcoming film, it ended up not doing very well for that film. There was about 6 weeks from the press review to the time that it got released into theaters for the Indiana Jones film that came out this year. Remember that was something that actually did happen. It premiered at Cannes Film Festival for all of the Hollywood insiders, and even they went, wow, this sucks. And they wrote their reviews, their scathing reviews, full of a lot of sevens, and everybody knew, wow, if the shill media isn't licking the soul of the Lucasfilm boot clean this time around, that thing must really suck. And then it ended up coming out in theaters, and wow, yeah, they actually weren't lying this time around. This thing sucks ass. And that was about a month to 6 weeks before it hit theaters. So knowing that that more than likely ended up helping to the inevitable bomb that film was going to be, well, they just decided to go ahead and totally and completely reverse course this time around. There are some movies that just can't seem to catch a break from people crossing their fingers and hoping it'll fail. No. I would be amazed. Like, imagine, okay, everybody that's going into this thinking that, well, Captain Marvel sure was a fucking piece of garbage, and, well, chances are, you know, hearing from the creatives behind this and seeing the track record of Marvel, and not anticipating very much, but the people go into the theater and go, wow, that was ridiculously good, okay? The shorter runtime really helps, you know, it was really action-packed, they told a tight story. I'm sure that people, you know, would come away with a different perspective, maybe a renewed hope in the franchise, but let's call it what it is. It's pattern recognition, knowing that, yeah, everything has been kind of tripe for about, you know, a good 4 years, so can we just go ahead and fucking see this shit, you know, fail and fast forward so we could just hopefully resuscitate this in the future? Can we just do that? No? Okay. The vocal minority, who made it their mission to tear down Captain Marvel at every turn. Why won't you leave Brie alone? Half a decade ago. Fuck, that's not actually inaccurate. Holy shit, because I think that came out, what, 2018? Captain Marvel? Yeah, in between Infinity War and Endgame. Holy shit. 5 fucking years. Wow. Anyways, have been back at it again with every major development surrounding the Marvel Cinematic Universe sequel, opening the door to even more vitriol. Oh my god. Yeah, we get it, okay? You love yourself some Brie Larson, some Pakistani American chick, and some black lady with purple eyes, okay? Why can they get purple eyes on a black lady, but they couldn't do that for the Targaryens in Game of Thrones? Fucking moron. Okay. What happened when the first trailer dropped? It comfortably became the most disliked MCU promo in YouTube history. Well, did you see it? Okay. I could have done better special effects on that fucking pile of shit, okay? And it had Beastie Boys music over the top of it. Bruh, I couldn't construct anything less palatable than that. It was reported to be a superhero saga's shortest ever installment. It must have been hacked apart in the editing room to salvage a disaster. Kind of seems like that. Named as the cheapest Marvel Studios production since Ant-Man. Well, that was thoroughly debunked. Oh, it only cost $80 million. It cost $80 million to shoot for 3 weeks. Or shut your mouth. 3 weeks or 3 months. It doesn't really much matter. It's going to be closer to $300 million when the tax bill comes around. Pinching pennies, oy vey, to avoid losing a fortune, when it turned out to actually be one of the most expensive, plunging money into production to try to polish a turd. There we go. Somebody's coming around this time. Early box office projections, potentially a record low for Kevin Feige's outfit. Yeah, and records that were set prior to him taking the reins to the franchise, which he ultimately crashed. Revised estimates are better, but still in danger of setting an 8-year low. On and on it goes. So you'll probably guess how some folks reacted to the news the embargo for the Marvels doesn't lift until the day before it hits theaters. Can you fucking believe that, man? That is wild. You got a bunch of people, names I don't necessarily recognize at all. The reasonable explanation is that Marvel is keeping a lid on the Marvels to avoid spoilers. Oh yeah, I'm sure that as it did before Doctor Strange and Spooderman, even though everybody knew that there were going to be a lot of characters coming back. Like, I don't think anybody was shocked that the Green Goblin came back. All three, or the other two original live-action Spider-Mans came back. Like, everybody kind of knew that for a long time. But, okay, to name 2 recent examples. But that's not a... Oh, stop this particular hate train. That's not going to... Brother, copyright, or copy editor. Hate train is interesting in making. But, bro, this is an unprecedented move. They have a track record of failure. Outside of Guardians of the Galaxy doing decently well, but this isn't going to be one of those situations because Guardians of the Galaxy had a pedigree. It was a James Gunn film. It was a James Gunn trilogy, coming to a conclusion, and it was something, even for the people that watched all of this stuff, it was a different sort of animal. You could go ahead and totally remove that from stage 5 and nobody would even bat an eye in the long-term storytelling, because it was something else. But if the film was good, if reviewers liked it, if the test screenings were good, they would have everybody singing its praises, knowing all of the bad press that's going on before this, having gone through this rigmarole to begin with. Even if they had the shills out there screaming from the rooftops, this is the best female superhero film to ever female. Everybody has to go see this, otherwise they hate women. They would have loved to have that campaign, but even this time around, they couldn't stuff those gift baskets full enough to even buy enough of those reviews, so they know, well, fuck, we'll get you flued out to come see this shit. Nothing good's gonna come of it, and yeah, write everything up and have them ready to go the Thursday before the film drops. Yeah, it should be good. I don't think anybody will notice. Man, they really are. They are doing everything. Make sure that this film, I don't know, probably just has a really bright, really quick flame under its ass. Everybody's just gonna go take a look at the coverage of this film, probably not check it out, probably see it for the hunk of shit that it is from their favorite influencer, you know, from their favorite reviewer that's out there that'll go honestly watch it and honestly appraise it and then just forget it even happened. The Marvel drop-off outside of Guardians of the Galaxy, it's always, oh yeah, have a really good opening weekend and then fall 60 to 70% in week 2. That trend was set with Doctor Strange, and it continued all the way through, up to and including Ant-Man. You think that's going to change for the Marvels? Yeah, I don't think so. Well, it could be a little bit softer, mostly because of the projections not coming anywhere close to opening weekends that we've seen anywhere in the recent Marvel Cinematic Universe. Well, and the way that this sits, and with the current actor strike going on right now, with things getting shuffled around, the Marvels, it's first film, it's building film on whatever this is ultimately going to end up being, Captain Marvel, which kind of started all of the mainstream pushback against the MCU, could end up concluding on this disaster right here being an inflection point at the end of 2023. Happy 100 years, Disney. You did it to yourself. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.